Joined back now with our map representatives from the team of For Honor. Welcome to the show, Nicola and George. How you guys doing today?
Great. Glad to be here.
It's an exciting time. First Breach map since the Marching Fire release. What can you tell us overall about this map? Maybe the intentions when starting off from, a kickoff meeting and coming up to what we see today as a final product.
Yeah, you will see plenty of new things in this map. First, I can talk about the inspiration. Basically, George is going to show us a bit the map, but we got the inspiration from the Viking mythology, and more precisely the Jormungandr, like the legend of the Jormungandr. So basically, the story of this map is that we started with this idea that our Vikings, when they first landed on this island, because you are going to see it's an island. They thought that the Jormungandr, which is like the giant war snake, was sleeping underneath that island. Why? Because you will see it's a very rocky and spiky. It looks very dangerous. So all these spikes, they believe that they were actually the scales of the snake. And so at this point, they decided to build a fort on this island to actually starting practicing their cult.
Yeah.
And you will see more in depth inside the map what does it mean. But so they raised these giant walls.
Yeah. And they also, they're preparing for Ragnarok, the end of the world.
Exactly. So
the rise of the Jormungandr.
And it's pretty obvious when you get deeper inside the map. So we just George just showed us the first phase, and now we are going toward the CP1 with the first boost that George can talk about.
Yeah. So are there any specificities in terms of phase 1 here that you can maybe point out for the players when they are going to be able to experience this for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is since, as you said, it's our first map since the release of our initial 3. So we had a chance to look at a lot of data from what people liked and
valuable data.
Exactly, what worked well in those maps. And we used a lot of the ideas that we thought were most successful to work on this new map. For example, some of the verticality we had, we wanted to get the real sense of being apart from the main lane if you're up on the side lane. We're seeing here the first capture point, which is a boathouse, and it connects to the healing zone, which is underneath, through a couple different routes. We always want sort of ease of access for players to be able to shift back and forth to all the points of interest in the map as the objectives evolve as we're playing through.
And you can see these big spikes, that they thought were the top of the monster, basically.
Yeah. And here we're moving up into second capture point. You can see a shield boost to the side. The archers set up here on the right. Not much to say about this zone. Pretty standard. It has an obstacle in the middle. It gives you views of the main lane, and again, quick accesses. There's a zip line just here on the right side that'll get you back down if you need to be. And here we're coming up on the Cauldron space.
There's a contested area at some point when the ram gets there, right?
Exactly. So this is the last stand at the outer gatehouse where defenders are trying to keep the ram from breaking that gate.
Yeah. You can mention that there's a room underneath that gate.
Yeah, there's an access room underneath the gate, and there are several places in the map where we have lattice work like that, wooden, so you can actually look up or down from the two areas to kind of see what's going on above you or below. Here we're coming up towards the defender spawn. We have a catwalk access on the right there that'll take you right over to the Cauldron and to the second capture point. And then a couple of drop axes, down zip line down to the main line.
Here you can see all the armada in the backdrop. You really feel that you are surrounded by all the enemies, which is nice because that's new. We don't have that feeling on the other breach maps.
Awesome.
Here's the Ballista position in phase 1. It has good sight lines on both capture points.
Be careful, guys. Got to be careful with that Ballista.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we did in this map that was bit of a twist on what we've done before is having really accessible and visible shield banner locations. So we're about to get to where the shield banner is in phase 1.
So assuming this is coming from all of the data that you analyze and seeing like what worked well, is there any similarities in the other maps that you see specifically in phase 1 that you can maybe?
Yeah, I mean the ideas of verticality from whatchamacallit, Walled City was very important to us to get in here. And then we'll see some stuff as well in phase 2 that we took from some of the other maps. Awesome. It's a combination of looking at the data. We've got heat maps on where most of the action is happening, where most deaths are happening. And also player feedback, keeping an eye on Reddit or whatever, what people think about the maps. here we find ourselves at the gate heading into phase 2.
Imagine the gate.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. You don't just magically go through it. You have to beat it with a ramp. You guys know that. So what can you tell us about phase 2 as we enter here in this area?
Well, I'd say here we have a beautiful capture point 4, which is a fishing station. And of course, you can't have a For Honor map without a swordfish.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
So, yeah, really nice work on this. This is the first capture point. It's got a unique, or somewhat unique thing that I was trying to do in this map is have some
That's a big ass swordfish.
It's a ledge where you get knocked out
Holy
at the capture
shit.
point.
For you, George.
But
look at that.
Look at beautiful.
Might be a new weapon at some point. Who knows?
You know, the punishment of getting pushed off a ledge and having to wait for a respawn or losing a ticket or whatever, that's pretty strong. You know, so we try to avoid that in a lot of places. But if we could have a gameplay of pushing you off a ledge, so that you then are knocked out of the capture point or it just delays your capture of it, I think is interesting. So we use that in a few places in this map. And here we're approaching the Gallows, which is the exterior of the prison.
Yeah, the front of the prison.
And this is the second capture point in this phase, capture point 5.
The reason why I did that is because there was a movie called The Gallows that actually did that.
Bridge to cross over between the side.
Wasn't a bad movie. I know some people gave that movie not so good reviews because of some of the stuff.
We also have a zip line that will take you back and forth.
But
actually, we can
it wasn't
see
really
the
that
ballista
bad.
position here. Again, with really good control, the second phase of the map with this ballista. And now we're coming into one of the most beautiful features of the map, and we hope people spend a lot of time here. It's the Guardian's War Chamber.
Looking menacing right now,
Tremendous
but
work
beautiful.
by the art team.
Yeah, it's a kind of command center. Basically, the Guardian will be there, like at the back, waiting for you. And here, the thing you see is basically the map of For Honor with like a snake surrounding that world.
That's so awesome.
Like in the mythology.
So awesome. So this is where you'll be seeing some Guardian fights in a beautiful room with a lot of depth. It's a nice dichotomy that we have here in For Honor.
So one of the things we were trying to do was do a lot of a contrast between exterior and interior spaces. We'll see it along the sideline, but this is a good example of it as well, where we've got good exterior fight spaces and good interior ones, and it gives you a sense of visual variety to move between the two.
Of course.
It also helps orient you and remind you of where you are on the map. And playing around with sight lines and landmarking and stuff like that is a good way to guide players through the map so that it flows naturally for them. So here's the area underneath the Gallows. This is a sort of a catacomb area. And we're heading into this really cool prison. This is where the healing boost is in this phase.
Woo! Come before.
This is loosely based on an actual
The Fort Boyard style, architecture style, you know.
The art team.
Basically, it's where they make their enemy prisoners before they actually execute them as offering for what they think is the creature.
That's deep, to say the least.
Yeah.
But obviously, just visually, this map is just breathtaking. And again, as you say, you take a look at all the bones and the recreation of the Jormungandr, the snake, that we can see presently, and then moving in here. I mean, that's going to be in phase 3. Maybe we'll show that later. Because that's some really cool stuff. But here, I'm assuming, is where there's going to be the Cauldron area, where there's going to be a lot of contested battles right here.
We see we have a ladder to get you up from the docking area quickly to the Cauldron. Now, you'll see this is a much bigger Cauldron space than in phase 1. It gives an opportunity for defenders really to make a last stand, try and protect their commander before moving into phase 3. But before we dip into there, we're going to check out the defender spawn overlooking the map. It's just here on the right side. And we're always trying to offer several options for defenders because the way we see it, sort of attackers are pushing the action, and defenders always need to be able to respond to those things. So a defender can take the zip line down or a ladder back down to the docking area, or even continue on further into the map, take the bridge across, or jump on the ballista.
Nice. And now we're going to head into phase 3 by going magically through this door.
Just imagine this
beautiful door.
Shattering.
It's going to shatter at some point. Actually, a lot in you.
Oh shit!
And now this is what you were talking about,
Big
right,
snake.
Nico? Is that this is maybe the recreation of what the Jormungandr represents for the Vikings
Exactly.
faction.
They really try, since they really believe in that creature. They try to replicate it, with what they had, around them. So basically, they took well bones and skeletons, anything they had to make that huge sculpture of that snake.
So cool, yeah.
So obviously, it's not accurate because they never really saw it, but
Yeah.
that's what they think it looks like.
So yeah, we just flew by the Ballista position in Phase 3, which allows players to sort of control the main lane minion flow and hopefully get the commander to leave his sort of safe point
Yeah.
and be able to take some shots at him.
You see that they painted also the creature on the ground, which is the kind of like a sacrificial, arena.
Exactly, and we're moving into more of a
Sacrificial
village area.
lamb.
This is the Thor's Hof Chapel, and the bottom floor is your healing zone, and the top floor is the capture point for this area. There's a unique gameplay feature in this map that we haven't seen before, which is a shortcut door that can be opened by a lever. It can be opened or closed, and that'll give you a quicker access to the healing zone.
Is it lethal?
It's not lethal, but what could be lethal is getting locked in there with a bunch of enemies, for example.
I see.
So either team can kind of take advantage of it depending on the flow of battle. So I'm really interested to see what happens when people are playing it live.
Awesome. And so the commander would be at the middle here, the bottom point here,
Yeah.
right just in front of the Jormungandr
Exactly.
recreation.
He's kind of protecting this last gate before.
It's just a massive snake all the way down to the peak there with all the
On
stones.
the right
really.
side, you can see the altar where they actually drop those guys in the ocean
Yeah,
for the
wow,
for the
that's crazy.
creature.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that basically wraps it up for the Storrs Stronghold, or I should say Storr, because
Storrs.
it's all about rolling R's
With
and
your
yours
Viking
reaches-
accent.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
You're
Well, thank
famous.
you so much, guys. And actually, you guys will be able to check it out live in action because we got exhibition matches coming up. And for that, I have to be throwing it off to our casters again. We've got a new addition with Mr. Verbalocity, who will be joining the man who will return onion soup for being too oniony, Mr. Vivin Nas. Take it away, boys.